lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things as we count down to Earth Day. Just 2 days to go. Wash your clothes in cold water. Up to 90% of the energy used in washing your clothes comes from heating the water. Some natural laundry detergents are even formulated with enzymes to be more effective when cold water washing. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station.
Good morning, area.
It's time to wake up. It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game.
Come on!
Oh yeah, let's go. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the Pregame Show. I am your host this morning, Joe Spadoni. Just getting off work, a late night, getting ready for work, getting ready for school, getting ready to go. I know they still got a bunch of snow up in Tahoe, getting ready for that, getting ready, workout, early riser, go on that morning run. Just be safe. Be sure you're wearing that brightly colored gear. Drive safe out there if you're driving on those roadways. If you're listening via the Odyssey app. If you're not, be sure to download that bad boy, favorite 95.7 The Game, for all of your Golden State Warriors coverage, who are back in action tonight. Chase Center, 7 o'clock. Have all that coverage all day long, after the game, before the game. Warriors Live with John Dickinson. Coverage of that starts at 6, before tossing it over to the great Tim Roy, who is the voice of the Golden State Warriors, who will be on the call. Cannot wait for that. And listen, it's not do or die for the Golden State Warriors tonight. I mean, it's technically not. It's basically do or be severely maimed. Because if you lose tonight, it's over. For all intents and purposes, it's over. Win tonight, that pressure starts to shift a little bit back to Sacramento. Still got to take care of Game 4, but can't worry about Game 4. No Draymond Green. We went through all the emotions, all the anger, all the sadness, all the emotions. The whole spectrum, if you will. The color of the rainbow for emotions on this station yesterday when it came to Golden State Warriors fans or Sacramento Kings fans who are out in full force, not only in the YouTube chat, which is up and running right now, Twitch, YouTube, streaming, just search 95.7 The Game and you will find us. Appreciate all of y'all there. Appreciate anyone chiming in via the old-fashioned way, the radio dial. Comcast Business Text Line 888-957-9570. 888-957-9570 is that number if you would like to get involved in the show. We had like a record yesterday. We had like 10 people call in. 5 a.m.? You kidding me? Why don't you guys call in every day? Help a brother out. Come on. But that is the number, 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Already got some people chiming in via the chat. Vic, Lakers looked amazing last night. A little tongue-in-cheek there. You big Lakers guy, Vic? I think he is. I think Vic is our biggest Lakers fan here at the YouTube chat. They took the L. That was a bad loss for them, but they got their road split, I guess. They were complacent with that. So that series is 1-1, heading back to Los Angeles. I have a couple other games tonight. Or I guess last night, I should say. We had the Bucks without Giannis again. No Giannis for game 2. He was out with the back injury. They led wire to wire. That game was over before it even started. Bucks just handling the Miami Heat. Nuggets taking out the T-Wolves yesterday. That's a snoozer. I mean, they kind of made it interesting in the third quarter, that 40-point third quarter for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but after that, the Nuggets were like, no. We're going to handle things here. Fourth quarter, 35 outscoring them 35-24. So Nuggets take a 2-0 series lead. That's looking like it could be a sweep, or at least a gentleman's sweep at 4-1. But the game tonight, and the game that everyone is going to be circling on their calendars as it pertains to the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. And I want to know from all you fans out there, Dub Nation, what is it, Kings Kingdom? I don't know what you guys call yourself, but anyone, what are the keys to tonight's game? What's the matchups that you are circling? And as always, we could take your predictions if you want. If you think it's going to be a blowout for the Warriors, I think a lot of Warriors fans are kind of leaning that way from what I've been seeing. Maybe not blowout, but at least very high scoring, and they pull away late. What's that starting lineup going to look like? No Draymond Green. I think we kind of moved past that. It is what it is. He's suspended. Have to move on now. I think Steve Kerr and co. have moved on. We're going to hear from him as he joined Willard and Dibbs. Yesterday it was Dibbs and JD. JD in for Mark Willard. Feel better, Mark. I know you're going through some laryngitis out there. That's not fun. There's certain things for radio hosts, laryngitis being one of them, anything that affects the throat, colds, all that sort of stuff. Sometimes you can power through it, but in today's society, post-COVID world, you just have a runny nose. No, you can't come in. What are you talking about? So feel better, Mark, but they did a hell of a job, JD and Dibbs, yesterday talking to Steve Kerr, and we'll have some of that sound for you here in just a moment. 888-957-9570. A couple other news and notes from around Bay Area sports yesterday. Giants, they took out the Marlins in extras 5-2. They salvaged that series, improved to 6-11 on the season. And the Giants. God. If you thought this season was going to go well just because you had faith in Farhan Zaidi and what he did 2 years ago, you were sorely and sadly mistaken, my friend. They take on the Mets starting tomorrow in a 3-game set at home. Mets, they're looking okay. Solid team. A Verlander injury kind of threw things off early. Max Scherzer, that's the story of baseball, got kicked out for what he said was just rosin and sweat, but umps are like, no, there's something sticky on my hand, so wait to see what's going on with the Scherzer there. That could be a 10-game suspension if it is the sticky stuff, so very interesting. Max Scherzer is adamant that he doesn't use it, so listen, who do you believe, the umps or Max Scherzer? That's what it kind of comes down to, and if the umps have the say in that with all the sticky substance on the balls. I have to go to that Steiny drop when he says that. I got to find it somewhere. It's one of the all-timers. I think I found it.
I got to ask you about the sticky substance on the balls.
Thanks, Steiny. The context of that whole month that we were talking about the spider attack and stuff like that just had some of the most outrageous drops here on 95.7 The Game.
2 balls outside.
There you go. There's a lot of ball references. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Unfortunately, some other unfortunate bad news as it pertains to the Oakland Athletics, as it appears they have purchased land, or at least a binding agreement to purchase land in Las Vegas. And this is a statement from A's president Dave Kaval. Quote, "For a long time, we were on parallel paths, and right now at this moment, and with this transaction that we have just entered into, we're really focusing our efforts on Las Vegas and on bringing this 20-year saga of the A's stadium and venue efforts to a kind of a final positive conclusion for the league and all the key stakeholders. We know it's a difficult day for our fans in Oakland and the community because Oakland's been very good to us. We have had so many great memories here, and we are very grateful for providing for all these years and all these efforts that have gone into this. It's a lot of hard work, and the mayor's staff, and the previous mayor to try to achieve our incredible vision on the waterfront. But we have just not been making the progress we need to basically make the deadlines that have been imposed on us by Major League Baseball." So the Oakland A's have gone through and purchased land, or at least have a binding agreement for land in Las Vegas. That is unfortunate. Kind of feels like that's all she wrote. It's on life support. Hail Mary, if you will, from the A's side. But the A's and Mayor Shang Tao of Oakland have all but cut ties with negotiations. He has said as much. He released a statement that they are no longer negotiating with the Oakland Athletics and are moving forward with finding other ways to revamp and reconstruct Howard Terminal to better benefit Oakland. So just some fortunate news there. We'll keep news and eyes out for anything that breaks there this morning. But yeah, it's more and more looking like the possibility that the Oakland A's will now be the Las Vegas A's. And if you're an A's fan, an Oakland fan, it sucks. You'll now be losing 3 sports teams from your city within the span of maybe 6 years, 5 years now, depending on when the Oakland A's eventually move over there. But Raiders, gone. Warriors, they're still in the Bay, but they're not on your side anymore. They're in San Francisco. And now with Oakland, it's a tough pill to swallow. It's very tough. I know there's a lot of pride being from Oakland and being from the East Bay and not having a team there. It's going to suck. I know you got the Oakland roots, got that pro soccer league there, maybe potentially a WNBA team coming, but 3 major sports teams leaving your city, it's just not good for business. And it sucks. I'm not going to get into the whole dynamics of giving into billionaires who have money to spend their own and not wanting to pay up their end of the bargain. I understand all that, not wanting to give into that. But also just for the residents, I do think a sports team does a lot for the community, and not having a major one there sucks. There's not much other words I can put other than sucks. Because that's what it is, ultimately. I'm an A's fan, and that's just how I feel this morning about the whole situation. It sucks that I won't be able to take my kids there moving forward. I guess you can take them to a Giants game. I'm not a Giants fan. I'm not going to jump ship and just become a Giants fan. That's not who I am. There's a respectful rivalry, I believe, for those 2 teams. And I know a lot of Giants fans feel the same way. They like that rivalry. The Bay Bridge series, they circle that every year. That's maybe some of the only games some of these fans go to each season. It's one of the few times you see the Coliseum actually packed, albeit with a lot of Giants fans, but still, it's a fun atmosphere. And to lose that sucks. It's like when you lost the Raiders and the Niners in the Battle of the Bay. It's not that anymore. And we still saw remnants of it last year when the A's and Raiders played a hell of a game in Las Vegas. But there was just something just a little bit different about not all the fans being from the Bay Area. So 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Just want to get in those news and notes. We'll continue to take your calls and texts on that. YouTube, Twitch as well. But it's basketball, baby. Warriors taking on the Sacramento Kings. And I'm so damn excited for this. Where are you at, Warriors fans? 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. What are some of the key matchups that you are looking for tonight? Who do you want more minutes from? Who do you feel can give this team the boost it needs, not only on offense, but defensively? Who's going to stop these guys? And with no Draymond Green, your best defender, how confident are you that they could get back in this series? Because they need this win. They absolutely need this win, or it's not death, but it's severely maimed. It is on life support, a la the A's trying to stay in Oakland. It's that bad. It's that dire trying to stay in this series against a young upstart team with a lot of confidence. And that's what something Draymond Green, we're back to Draymond, talked about before the series. Not giving a team like this hope early on, because it's dangerous when a young team starts feeling hope and starts feeling confident. They're out for blood. They're sharks. They want to go out there and rip out your soul. They want to be the ones to end this dynasty. And they could do that with the win tonight. Warriors ain't coming back from a 3-0 deficit. I'm sorry. They're just not. What do they have up their sleeve? Is it Jordan Poole? Starting lineup? Go small? Just go instant offense? You know what? We're just going to beat them at our own game. It's not their game, even though they're doing it better than us these first 2 series, running up and down the court. They are younger. Is Jordan Poole going to be the answer? He was playing on a 1.5 feet the other day. Klay Thompson talked about as much. He's basically playing on half a foot. So is he going to be the guy you turn to? Is it Jonathan Kuminga? How much trust does Steve Kerr have in him? I would love to see more of him on the court, but if the head coach isn't going to trust him, then put in someone you do trust. Moses Moody, trusted him. We're going to see more Moody minutes. So 888-957-9570. Who do you feel needs to be on the Warriors tonight to step up and bring in that dub? Here's Steve Kerr talking about Jordan Poole and him feeling a lot better. And this was via Willard and Dibbs. It was JD in for Mark Willard yesterday, right here at 95.7 The Game.
He's feeling a lot better. It's helpful that we will have had these 2 days off between games, and his ankle was really swollen for game 2. I was impressed that he went out there and tried to play. He clearly wasn't himself, but I wanted to be there for his teammates. But given that he's had a couple of extra days now of treatment, he's feeling a lot better, and I anticipate he'll be ready to roll tomorrow.
Which would be huge. Ready to roll tonight. Again, Warriors live coverage of that starts at 6 o'clock right here on 95.7 The Game with John Dickinson. Tip-off 7 o'clock right here, 95.7 The Game. Tim Roy will have it locked and loaded all day, all night. Warriors, Kings coverage. Don't go anywhere. This is the spot you want to be at. Morning roast. They're fired up. We ready. Oh, we'll have that on lock coming up at about 6:05. Joe Shasky will join me as he always does at 5:45 for the crossover. Get his thoughts, his keys to this game. Interested to see who he wants to be in that starting lineup. And Steve Kerr, more from him, talking about who and if they've decided on who is going to be starting in his place.
We have made the decision, and you're absolutely right. I'm not going to tell you what that decision was. And we, because of the nature of the series, we didn't practice hard. We didn't scrimmage or anything like that, but we went through some patterns and some walkthroughs, and so we've got a game plan set, and we think we can execute and go out and it's my experience over the years, both as a player and as a coach, that you're always only one game away from changing a series and changing a complexion of a series. It's always one game changes everything, and so that's the mentality. It's just got to go win one game, and we know we can do that. And when that happens, all of a sudden everything takes on a different look.
They're going to have to do something they've never done. Come back from an 0-2 deficit in the playoffs. They've never done that. Down 0-2, 0-9 all time in their history. Can they do that? Can they get off the schneid at home in front of Chase Center? And that crowd's going to be wild. Who's going to the game tonight? Let me know. 888-957-9570. Apparently they released a statement, the Kings did, that no cowbells will be allowed. They got their cowbell privileges taken away. That video, by the way, that fan behind Bob Myers, president of basketball operations for the Golden State Warriors. Come on, what are you doing? Come on. Have a little bit of self-respect and respect for others around you. I don't care if it's Bob Myers or anyone. It was me. Bob has so much self-restraint for not turning around and smacking that guy upside the head. Get a cowbell out of my face. God. So obnoxious. So the Sacramento Kings, not the Golden State Warriors, the Sacramento Kings put out a statement and be like, no. If you try to bring that in the stadium, they're going to put it in a locker. You can pick it up after the game if you would like. More from Steve Kerr talking about the game plan for Game 3 and changing it after learning of Draymond Green's suspension.
There's only one way to do that, and that's just, focus on the game itself and look at what adjustments we need to make and, what lineups we're going to play and who fits with whom and all of that stuff. And like I said, you don't have much time to worry about anything else. So you just, we had our coaches meeting this morning and figured out our plan and then addressed the team after that. And we're ready to roll.
Ready to roll. Here we go. Mr. Jason 916. We got a lot of 916ers in these chats. LOL, Poole going to be in the lineup. Don't blame him if they lose again. I didn't expect this much animosity. I'm just going to say it real quick before reacting to that. There's so much animosity in the chats this week. I think we all underestimated just how chippy it was going to get between the Warriors and the Kings. Now the Sabonis Draymond thing took it to another level. It's starting to get ugly. Are we going to be able to be friends after this? Because there's a lot of fans from SAC that are Niner fans, Giants fans, and same goes for the Warriors fans. So when we see each other at these other games throughout the year, going into next season and going into the summertime, we're going to be cordial? I guess one fan base is the one that wins. The other one's going to be salty. It's just, I think I underestimated from ESPN 1320 with D'Lo and KC, Bonte, Shasky, this whole station, everyone. It's just been so feisty. I got to say, as a neutral observer, I'm loving it. It's been fun. More from Steve Kerr on what needs to change on the court in Game 3 if they're hoping to win and get back in the series.
I think the biggest thing is just boxing out. We got beat on the offensive glass, and I'm not as worried about the turnovers because I think most of the turnovers were unforced. I didn't think the turnovers were a result of physicality. It was more just mental focus. So I think the biggest thing I'm concerned about on tape is the box outs. We got a little bit better in Game 2. In Game 1, we missed a ton of them. But without Draymond, especially, we've got to be really locked in and proactive and keeping those guys off the glass.
Yeah, that's going to be it's going to be difficult though. Like the size factor, that's why like Jonathan Kuminga, yeah, it's nice on the defensive end. He gives you some energy when you need it. Young guy, fresh legs going up against a young and fresh team. But he doesn't get rebounds. Like that's the problem. But also, you can't expect him to rebound if you're just giving him 4 minutes and not really letting him get into the flow and rhythm of a game. Start him. Like that's what I would do. Start Jonathan Kuminga. Give him that confidence. You know what, kid? Here you go. I have confidence in you and in this team and being a part of it and getting this win tonight. Show him the confidence. Steve Kerr, like this whole season, this weird thing with the veterans and the young players and not knowing what to do. Like, show some confidence in Moody and Kuminga. You did with Moody a little bit. Hey, coming off, like, I don't even know the last time Moses Moody played before that playoff game. I'm going to be honest. I don't even know the last time he played like actual real minutes because he's just been on a milk carton for the last couple months. And for the most of the season, when he thought this whole 2 timeline thing, when he thought Moody, Wiseman, and Kuminga were going to be a big part of it. Now, Kuminga was for a good stretch for about a month and a half there. He was doing some good things. Wiseman, gone. Brought back Gary Payton II. And Moses Moody, he's just been G League, back up, G League, back up. Got Anthony Lamb. Are we going to see him? Is Anthony Lamb the key to all this? Ugh. Shudder at the thought. A lot of Warriors fans, I'm sure, do at that. Here's Anthony Slater on, Game 3 options for the Warriors without Draymond Green. Anthony Slater, our 95.7 The Game Warriors insider. He's more tapped in than anybody when it comes to this team, and here's some of the options that he thinks the Warriors could use.
Kuminga, to me, has always been a much more effective player when you give him 25 guaranteed minutes. When he goes into a night knowing, like, look, I'm playing a lot tonight. More engaged, focused. When it's like, hey, you're going to get 4 minutes each half, maybe. He's just like comes out there a little bit, lost. That's just how he is. So yeah, I do think that's one intriguing option. But in this series, he just hasn't defended well, and some of the Kings' actions, and he's not rebounding. I know that's something Steve Kerr continues to mention. And I thought it was interesting when Draymond gets ejected the other night. It was Moses Moody who he went to, right? Yep. That was the guy who subbed in for him, which that was an out of nowhere addition to the rotation in that second half. So I think there is a chance because Kerr clearly believes that Moody's style of play fits this series, that you see more Moses Moody. And then the other option would be if his ankle is feeling right, which we don't know with Jordan Poole, but if it is, one of the things they've done in the past is just like plant Poole in the starting lineup and try to supercharge the offense. Yep. Maybe you do that because you got to get him going.
Got to get Jordan Poole going. Like that's been the difference in this series. Malik Monk, been a baller off the bench for the Kings. Jordan Poole has been hurt and hasn't been doing anything, turning the ball over, just not giving you anything. And if he's not giving you anything offensively, then he's really not giving you anything at all. because he doesn't really do anything from the defensive side of the basketball. And a team that's already been limited when it comes to offensive players that are good at defense, but on the flip side, you have a lot of good offensive players that their defense just isn't as good as anymore. Steph, it was always kind of just below average. Clay, not as good anymore. Draymond Green, suspended. Kevon Looney, been doing a pretty good job on Sabonis. Wiggins, he's been showing up on both ends of the floor. Now, the three-point shot has not been there for Wiggins. Will that be better in his first game back at Chase Center? We'll see. We shall see. But that mid-range, he knows that's his sweet spot. And I think that shot specifically has been what the Warriors have missed. And it's been nice to see. When Andrew Wiggins' mid-range game is going, it's damn near automatic. And when the bleeding starts and the drought starts for the Golden State Warriors on offense, that's the shot that the Warriors need to look for to get back into rhythm. It's been there the first two games, and I expect it to be there in Game 3 and beyond. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. My guy Vic on the YouTube chat doing a lot of crying this morning. And we're going to continue to take your calls and texts. Twitch, YouTube, up and running. Download that Odyssey app. Favorite 95.7 The Game for all your Golden State Warriors coverage. We're going to get more into Bob Myers, who spoke about the suspension yesterday. More from Steve Kerr. Tom Izzo, Michigan State head coach, had some thoughts on the suspension. You know, Draymond Green, a Spartan. He played for Izzo. That's his guy. Wonder if Izzo is going to be in the crowd tomorrow. He usually likes to travel for some of these big games and support his guy Draymond Green. We'll have more from that. Again, the number 888-957-9570. This is the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. We provide a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to determine.
Welcome back. Pregame show, Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. Warriors-Kings Game 3 tonight at Chase Center. Coverage of that starts at 6 o'clock right here on 95.7 The Game with Warriors Live. John Dickinson will be on that for the pre before tossing it over to the great Tim Roy, the voice of the Golden State Warriors, who will be on the call at tip-off 7 o'clock. Warriors fans, Kings fans, who's going to the game? Hit me up. 888-957-9570, Comcast Business text line. Call or text that number. YouTube, Twitch, we are up and streaming. Just search 95.7 The Game in your search bar. It will pop up. And be sure to download that Odyssey app and take 95.7 The Game everywhere when you download that bad boy. Not just sports. You got all your pop culture, got your politics, your nature, all that sort of stuff. Whatever you're into, the Odyssey app has it. Speaking of pop culture and shows and stuff like that, God, I need to watch The Mandalorian season finale. Don't spoil it, anyone. Don't do that. I don't like the spoilers. All right, we give like a 48-hour grace period. What, was released yesterday? Just no spoilers, please. I still don't trust that armor. I know something's going to happen. Either she's going to betray them or Bo-Katan. I know it. I just know it. So for all you nerds out there, you know what I'm talking about. Bob Myers spoke to the media yesterday in regards to Draymond Green's suspension, the president of basketball operations. He is what he always is. He's very forthright, honest, open. God, his podcast must be doing great numbers because I can listen to that guy talk about anything. He can just really spin anything into pure gold with that voice. That voice and those words. That guy is was it Bonte who said it? He's like a human fire extinguisher. Whenever there's smoke or just fire, anyway, just bring Bob Myers in to cool it all down. He's the water jug, can, whatever, the hose. He's going to put it all out. And you know what? Bob Myers talked about his initial reaction to the suspension, and if it's fair, doesn't matter. And on the league saying Dre's history took a part in it. So here's some of Bob Myers and his initial reaction to the Draymond Green suspension. Here's talking to the media yesterday.
Yeah, the league texted me the night of and said, if we need to talk to you, we'll let you know. And that they needed to speak to Draymond. They didn't need to talk to me. And so they told me last night, they called me and said he's suspended, which in their defense, what do they care what I have to say? I mean, they know what I'm going to say. So they don't need me to make the decision. As far as how we felt, we've been here before and we got to play a game tomorrow night. Once these decisions are made, there's no appellate court. It's over. So you can react however you want to react, but it doesn't change the fact he's not playing and we got a game tomorrow night.
And I think that's the sentiment for most people. It's like, it sucks that he's not going to be there, but you know what? I'm not going to pout about it. What's pouting going to do? Like being a little kid or something like that? No. I'm Bob freaking Myers. I'm the president of basketball operations. I'm going to be the grown-up here because some people in the organization refuse to be, but I'll be the leader. I'll speak to the media. I'll do all this. And that's his job, and he does it very, very well. I believe, I hope the executive show, I know Zaza was on yesterday with Steiny and Guru. I'm hoping the Warriors are still sticking around through next week when I believe Bob Myers is supposed to speak to them. So either way, if it's before or if they get knocked out, I'm pretty sure if they get knocked out, maybe he won't join them. But God, fascinating conversation about this whole dynamics and stuff like that. And Steiny and Guru do a hell of a job with him on that. More from Myers talking about whether it's fair or not. Doesn't really matter.
I know you got to ask, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what any of you think. It doesn't matter what I think because it's over. I got to focus on getting our team, whatever I can do to help the guys. Spoke to Draymond last night about it. Told him that when he shows up today, it's got to be about the team and helping him win. It's not about whether he should or shouldn't have been suspended. That doesn't help anyone. Like I said, they don't go back. Once these decisions are made, they're done. You feel however you feel, but I understand you got to ask, but it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't really matter. He's not there, out of sight, out of mind. If you're there, Draymond, at practice, do the best you can, give all the best advice you can, but don't make it about you. It's about the team. And more from Myers here, finally, on the league saying Draymond's history played a part in their suspension.
If the league said it would play a role, it played a role. What do I think of it? Again, these are decisions they make. We live with them, and that's all we can do. And in the middle of a series, you don't have a lot of time to think about these things. You just like if somebody gets hurt, you got to play with who you have. There's no lens into who's in the room and who said what. And I get a call, he's suspended. You find out, somebody tweets it out. That's it. End of story. So I understand it's a big topic. I totally get that. I understand that it has potential to affect things. Really, again, what we got to figure out is we got a big game tomorrow night, and I think we've got enough to win it, and we have to figure out how to make that happen.
The suspension really does throw a whole wrench into not only the Warriors, but how do the Kings react to this? Like, do they just say, like, well, the lane's wide open, De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, let it have at it? Like, is that what's going to happen now? Is it just going to be full throttle, drive into the paint every chance they can get? God bless Kevon Looney. He's going to have his hands full of Domantas Sabonis the whole game. Who's going to step up defensively for the Golden State Warriors in Draymond Green's absence? That's why I feel like Jonathan Kuminga has got to have like a 20-minute plus kind of game tonight, right? Because God bless Jordan Poole. If he's playing on a foot and a half, but Steve Curry spoke to JD and Dibbs yesterday, said, he's feeling better, should be good to go. Okay, that's great on offense, but on defense, he's still not going to give you anything. Moses Moody, he can give you a little bit of something. Anthony Lamb, okay. Like, are those, like, who is going to be the dude to step up? That's up to Steve Kerr. He's got a difficult decision ahead. And right now, Mike Brown, he's out coaching him. Steve, what do you got in game 3 to punch back, to counter what Mike Brown's been doing? Because he's been punking him. Let's be honest. Mike Brown's been that dude. I think we slept on it a lot heading into the series. Maybe some of you didn't. We were getting some calls like, listen, Mike Brown knows his team inside and out. He's going to do something. I was like, doesn't everyone know what the Warriors are at this point? I mean, we've been watching them for the past decade. Who doesn't know what the Warriors are? But there is something to be said about knowing tendencies and being close in practice, day in and day out with some of these guys. Like to drive left, like to drive right. This is what he's going to do when he is off the dribble. This is where he likes to run his spot, all that sort of stuff. There is something to be said about that, and credit to Mike Brown for exploiting a lot of the Warriors' deficiencies. Here's Anthony Slater, our 95.7 The Game insider, who joined the Morning Roast, Bonte and Shasky yesterday, and Shasky's going to join me here in about 6 minutes, as he always does each and every day, Monday through Friday at 5:45 for the crossover. Can't wait to get his thoughts on all of this in Game 3, who his keys to the game are, if you will. But here is what Anthony Slater said about how the Warriors locker room is going to be dealing with this suspension for Draymond tonight.
Well, again, I was chatting with plenty of people in the locker room post-game, and they they scoffed at the idea that he would be suspended. They thought that Sabonis instigated it, and that was made clear when they gave Sabonis a technical for the ankle grab, and also that the ejection was plenty of a penalty because he missed the 6 most important minutes of the season. So I know are going to, there was a lot of surprise organizationally, players, coaches, everybody yesterday that he was suspended. So I think that's one layer of it. But I think what you're also asking is, Draymond Green, who, in many ways has done this before. There's probably got to be a little bit of an eye roll at the fact that he's kind of put the Warriors in position again here to have to play without him in a key moment because of some extracurriculars.
Is it extracurricular or curriculars? I think Anthony might have butchered that last one. That's all right. Anthony Slater, give the guy a break. All right? Guy just had a baby. He's crushing it. Just covering this series better than anyone else. Both sides of it. Kings, Warriors. Guy crushes it. Our 95.7 The Game. Warriors insider. New dad. Congratulations, Anthony. That's freaking awesome. Mom is probably they always do most of the work, but don't sleep on the dads, all right? We got to wake up throughout the night as well. Hope Anthony's getting at least some sleep. This Warriors, these kind of games tonight are tough, especially I can even imagine being a new father too, having to travel all the way to Chase Center. That's going to be a late night too, 7 o'clock tip. He's not going to be home until 1 in the morning. Oh, you're home. Great. No, you're not going to sleep. Got to change his diaper. Got to feed the baby. It's not my turn to go to sleep now. So shout out Anthony Slater, new dad. We got one more break for you here before tossing it over to the Morning Roast. One more segment, the crossover, where Joe Shasky of that same Morning Roast is going to join me, going to get his thoughts on Game 3, who he would like to be in that starting lineup. No Draymond. What are going to be the adjustments offensively, defensively? The A's, unfortunately, that whole situation, again, if you're just joining us, the Oakland A's, maybe not Oakland A's much longer, John Fisher and co., they have purchased or have a binding agreement for land in Las Vegas. It's starting to look like things are shifting out there, and it's starting to look like Oakland will lose its third team in the last 5 years. Raiders gone, Warriors to San Francisco, and now the A's, and that just sucks. I'll get Joe's thoughts on that. More from the pregame show right here on 95.7 The Game. Joe Spadoni, come on back.
Since first opening its doors in 1964, Fremont Bank has approached banking with a simple idea in mind. Growth comes...
Welcome back. Pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. Been talking Dubs Kings. No Draymond for Game 3. Can't cry about it now. It is what it is. They have to move on. Who's going to be taking his place in that starting lineup has been a question all day. We're going to continue to ask it until those starting lineups are released, and I'm sure Steve Kerr will keep that close to the vest. Warriors Live coverage of that starts at 6 o'clock right here on 95.7 The Game with John Dickinson. Tip-off at 7 with Tim Roy, the voice of the Golden State Warriors, right here on 95.7 The Game. On the call as Joe Shasky of the Morning Roast joins me now for the crossover, as he does each and every day at 5:45 right here on the pregame show. And Joe, I guess I'll start with this. Biggest story, I mean, I know, Game 3 tonight. I wanted to start with this, though, as we lead into the Warriors Kings. At 10:30 last night, the A's did a little news dump. A little, kind of a big. A binding agreement with Las Vegas for a site right off the strip there, right across from T-Mobile Arena, right near the In-N-Out Burger, I guess, right over there too, right off the strip there. So let's say the 2027 is what they're saying, is they are hoping to get a stadium done in Las Vegas. Now, doesn't mean they have to do a whole relocation process. Doesn't mean it's final, but damn, it sure feels like a not a knockout blow, but damn near close to it for the A's staying in Oakland. Sucks. And I want to get your thoughts on that. As a guy who lived kind of through that whole, I was too young when it happened, but the Giants flirting with St. Petersburg and almost going there.
I remember
thought they were gone.
I remember coming home crying. They traded away, Kevin Mitchell, and it was like basically it was the tiniest microcosm of what A's have gone through. Meaning they traded away one of their most popular players. It ended up being a great trade, but they traded him away and it felt like they were waving the white flag. And St. Petersburg jerseys were coming out. They would eventually expand and become the Tampa Bay Rays. But they had one foot out the door, and then they sold to an ownership group that had enough money and wherewithal and political clout to be able to keep them here. There's so many things here. Like, man, this ownership group just basically choked out their own fan base.
Yes.
I mean, they choked them out. Because when I was growing up, the Giants fans were the minority. The A's fans were the majority. They had all of the fans. I was watching the documentary on Willie Mays. The number one home attendance team in the National League, in the baseball, was the San Francisco Giants in the 60s. And then in the 70s, when the A's moved in, it cut all of their attendance. And most of the people that were coming from the East Bay and even in the South Bay and whatnot started going to A's games. And then they became one of the biggest road draws.
They had that 3P in the early 70s. It got all those people. Yeah.
Absolutely, which is crazy that it's hit 50-year anniversary the other day. I mean, God.
Just swept that under the rug. No one cares about that.
I know. Well, and they have a rich, long history of not only being a marquee franchise back in the day, but a team that always was competing and had way more success on the field than the San Francisco Giants. And really, outside of the Yankees, name me an American League team that over the decades was as competitive. Very few and far between.
Very few, like Red Sox maybe.
But even then, they didn't win like the A's.
They didn't, back in the day. No, it's a great point. And it's just, it felt like this for a long time. It's just like, man, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Like, is there a chance? Oh, you see like this, you always see leaks, and I follow Casey Pratt from ABC7. He follows along all the different stuff, like the environmental impact stuff. Oh, that gets that's good for the A's. I was like, is it? Like, I don't care. Just get a shovel in the dirt. And now that we're finally seeing like a plot of land being purchased in Vegas,
it's sad, yeah.
It's just like, okay, now it can become a legit reality.
And here's what I would say, and people can disagree with me. You're feel free to do it. I'm not sure the Bay Area, given the current landscape, the finances, the mass exodus, the way that we consume things now, where if you did move here from another part of the country, you could still consume your team individually because of the MLB network, because of satellite, etc. All the different ways you can watch things. I'm not sure it's sustainable to have a two-team market. Now, here's what I would say. Had the A's built the stadium before the Giants, I think the Giants are gone. I really do. I think the Giants would have been gone. I really do. I mean, the Giants are struggling to get people to come to the stadium, Joey.
It's really hard for me to buy that when I see it working in every other major market.
Where's it working?
Chicago, right?
Is it?
I mean, they have a stadium, don't they?
Yeah, they have a stadium. That doesn't mean it's feasible for both teams to be good and sustainable.
Well, I know, but the White Sox, and have been solid the last few years, and they've won.
Is Chicago?
They don't spend. I will say this: they don't spend as much as the Cubs, so it's always going to be something like
big brother, little brother.
Yeah. Like in both of those markets, like all those markets. Let's say another one. The Mets is different. It's New York. I get that.
And they got 1 billion people.
Angels, Dodgers.
The Angels are always going to be way lower.
They are.
Here's the thing I would say.
I'm not saying the A's are ever going to overtake the Giants because I don't think they are. I think the last 20 years and the San Francisco brand I think is always going to be a little bit bigger and shinier than Oakland. I get that, but I still think they can compete in this market. But to your point, what John Fisher has done has completely just destroyed the fan base. Like the fans you had, like if you were going to build, it was like a decade ago when they had that other run in 2010 or 2012, I should say, and Josh Reddick and all those guys, Brandon Moss, all that, Josh Donaldson. Yeah, that was the time to do it. But now it's just like I don't have a fan base. Like no one wants to show up because this guy's the owner.
100%. That is a part of it. I truly believe had the A's, let's say 5 years ago, put a stadium in somewhere in Oakland, I think the Giants would be hurting big time. I really do. I don't think
they'd be the new shiny thing, and everyone is like, "Oh, we're going there."
Oh, and if you think AT&T Park is or Oracle, whatever the hell you want to call it, is empty now, it'd be even more empty, right? Like I truly believe that. I just think business is really hard right now in the Bay Area,
especially California, let alone the Bay Area.
I mean, Gavin Newsom's walking through the middle of the Tenderloin, asking bums and asking people like, "Why would you fix the fentanyl crisis?" I don't know. That's why we voted you in. Maybe that's why you should be the one coming up with ideas. You are paid to come up with solutions.
And Vegas, Vegas gets stuff done. Like with the Raiders, they just get stuff done. That's all. It sucks. It's unfortunate. You're hoping for a Hail Mary in this case, but don't think it's going to come. But I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on that. Did you want to finish up real quick on it?
Well, I feel really bad for the A's fan. You can make an argument the A's fan was the most abused and yet still simultaneously most loyal fan in all of sports. Name me a team and an owner who did more to put double middle fingers to your consumer on an hourly basis.
Yeah, I can't know. John Fisher is one of the I get off the field stuff. There's worse owners that have done
I feel bad for you, Joe.
Terrible stuff. It's all right.
Madsen. There are some diehard, old school A's fans. Yes, Evan Giddings as well. Yeah. And you guys are getting kicked in the nuts, dude.
It is. It's unfortunate, but it's been happening 20 years. There's always these cycles you go through, right? And I was telling you, I was like, in between segments when we have MLB Network on here, they literally showed 4 consecutive highlights of, and I don't think they did it on purpose, but it was Marcus Semien, Matt Chapman, Sean Murphy, and Matt Olson. I was like, oh, must be nice to have all those guys on one team and they all consecutive home runs or something. Like, oh, that's great. It's stuff like that. It's just you're used to it. It is what it is. But to see the city of Oakland lose 3 professional sports teams, and I know the Warriors are still in the Bay, so it's a little different. But still, you had some sort of pride in it being in the East Bay, which sucks.
Totally. Yeah. And look, from a competitive, I want the A's to be relevant because it gives us another topic to talk about.
Yes.
That's the irony. Lost
when the Raiders left, that sucked because we're that's a whole other team you could talk about. Content.
How many times did we go Jimmy G or Derek Carr?
Yeah.
Right. Who do you want? Yes. Who do you want to run your team? Well, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, the media did X, Y, and Z. No, we would love for the A's to be competitive. Trust me, I did A's shows. You were there.
Yes.
I did A's shows with Townie. I enjoyed talking about multiple teams. It gave us more topics to talk about. It's brutal right now. And here's the last thing I'll say on this, and I find this to be super fascinating, but the business of sports right now, there's so much money to be made off all these things. The fact that they want this unbelievable handout. Now, Joe Lacob got portions of handouts, meaning there were certain infrastructure deals that were set up with the city. The Giants got a sweetheart deal on land years ago. There were infrastructure improvements that the city wanted to go. You have to meet both ways. But at my core, none of these cities should be giving any of these private for-profit businesses any kind of giant breaks.
Totally agree.
It drives me. Joe's Liquor Store should not be taxing me, the guy who's barely making it, so they get a new roof.
And right on cue, the Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao said this, quote, "In a time of budget deficits, I refuse to compromise the safety and well-being of our residents. Given these realities, we are ceasing negotiations and moving forward on alternatives for redevelopment. And the mayor, she's right. She's like, I'm not going to be a pawn for this. I'm not going to be like used for negotiations with Vegas. I'm trying to get legit housing and trying to build up this and read the room.
Well, I would say to people that are mad at all this narrative, no, Oakland's the reason. No, redirect your anger at the business, not at the county and the community. Like these leaders, they're not the ones who should be setting up businesses. Totally. You know who should be setting up business? The guy who owns the business.
Yes, facts. And then that was our final quick thoughts on these. No, we didn't need to be talking.
You got kicked in the nuts last night. You do it the night at 10:30 at night when they're playing the Kings and the Warriors. You read the room after a huge homestand and you're going on the road.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gutless.
They knew it exactly. That was I'll give you a 4 for your Steiny right there. Speaking of the Kings and Warriors, they play tonight, and again, coverage of that starts at 6:00 with Warriors Live and John Dickinson. Who do you want in that starting lineup, Shasky, in place of Draymond? I know Slater was there yesterday talking about Jordan Poole maybe giving them a spark offensively. They said his ankle should be fine. Yeah. Steve Kerr said that. So Jordan Poole, is it Kuminga? Moody?
GP2 was a thought. Jordan Poole's so important. I can make an argument for Jordan Poole. Kuminga, to me, is so important to get going in this series. I don't think they can win the series without some kind of impact from Kuminga. I'm not saying he's got to be on the level of some of their other more marquee guys, but he's got to do something. Yeah. And then there's an element of you got to be able to defend. When they bring in Monk and they've got De'Aaron Fox, you got to defend that. We're only talking about a couple minutes here. So, I don't know how they do it. I'm not saying that I wouldn't start Wiggins, but there's something about you got to be able to reserve Wiggins' energy so that fourth quarter down the stretch, we can get stops. Same thing with Looney. What happens if Looney picks up 2 quick ones? I mean, they're in deep doo-doo.
Well, right? And that could absolutely be a possibility because Sabonis, you'd figure with no Draymond, I'm just going to keep yamming in the paint, right?
I know.
And if you're Malik Monk and if you're De'Aaron Fox, I'm just going to keep dribble, drive, penetration, right?
100%. I feel like I might go Moody in this one.
I was thinking about that too. He gives you defense.
Yeah, it really does. And then I also think he gives you more of a rebounding element because he did rebound well the other night.
He did.
Watching that back, a couple little hustle plays. He can knock down a three. You have to honor him a little. He can put the ball on the floor a little. I can make an argument for JK. I'm torn. I'm fascinated to see and are they going to run more zone? Yeah. Are they going to run more zone if they go, let's say they go Jordan Poole? Do you then employ a defensive lineup which is a little more beneficial to someone who isn't a turnstile?
That's a good point. That's Joe Shasky. He's going to be joining Bonte Hill next. Cannot wait for that. They're going to have all your Kings and Warriors coverage there. Don't go anywhere, folks. Morning Roast next. This is the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station.
Mom,